hello everyone to another Living in the Flow episode. And we're now it's been quite a while, dear Tanya, isn't it, that we've been running these and co-creating these, and it's always so much fun. And I always look forward to the Saturdays when we meet and we catch up and we talk. And most of the time we have no idea what each other is doing, but somehow it all is connected. And this is the beautiful experiences. For me, it's been beautiful just to actually explore how it is to be working with someone else, with another person. And it's like we're connected, even though we're on the other side of the world, it all comes together so seamlessly and by itself, and without any hard work, really, to be quite honest.
At all.
And we don't even have to like think about it, or do I? Not that much. And this is like this really beautiful way of creating, and in this new way. And like just cooperating with another person. I used to be a very much like a lone wolf, doing everything by myself. And honestly, I have to thank you, for being such a wonderful partner, to sort of, sometimes we haven't agreed on everything, but we just kind of, and it's been very small things.
It's been so easy, right?
Yeah, it hasn't really been anything huge. And I've just discovered this joy of working together with someone, with someone else on an ongoing basis. It's just so wonderful for me. And you have this incredible news, like you've got a big opening of a new part of your life today. And so
and this morning I was going to send a message to Alexis saying, today let's keep it down to an hour, because we have the opening of the integral cooperative space that we have been working on in the last four months. Big surprise, I saw Alexis's birthday message. So we had not communicated from before that, and so I hadn't seen her birthday message. It was on Messenger, and it was so interesting, so much fun to see, happy birthday and so on today, because it really is not only a new project that is born, but it's a new way of life. It's a new chapter. And just like you, I like being alone as well. But one of my main purposes of experience this time round on Earth has precisely been to harmonize relationships. And so I started off with very stormy experiences regarding relationships, though I always had a lot of people around me and worked with the public very intensely. So I had very public jobs. But then when the storms were resolved inside of me, because when I started looking inside instead of blaming people and situations for the storms, then my ocean started to harmonize. And now my storms are of a completely different nature. My storms at the moment are storms of creative passion and inspiration that are equally overwhelming, but that do not bring up distorted emotions, do not take me away from life. So my storms at the moment are storms of life. So life is so alive when we allow it to flow through us, that it just takes us by the hand. Or I've got this image of when you're lying on the water, and if someone is holding you underneath, if you want to try learning how to swim. So it's kind of like that. Life just holds you like that and keeps you afloat, but in a very graceful way. So these storms that I experience now, these creative storms of passion and inspiration, though sometimes they do feel overwhelming physically, they are not overwhelming emotionally. They are peaceful, and there is no excitement. This is one of the fantastic things of being in balance and harmony, is that no matter how wow something is, there is never an excitement. Like, I realized that the excitement that I used to experience many years ago was kind of like a tension, like an expectation, and it created a bit of an imbalance. And now the bubbling joy that comes from the expression of soul is not that same quality of excitement. So the wow has changed its quality completely. It is a very effusive joy, yes, very light and very shiny and beautiful and colorful and all that, but at the same time it's very calm and wise and giving. And so once I balanced within myself the giving and receiving kind of paradox, and realized there is no such thing. Either you are all in or you aren't. And in that you are giving and receiving continuously. There is no separation whatsoever. And so once we balance and release the need to live in the seduction of having appreciation, of being accepted, and receiving praise and all of that stuff that we live in when we are within the victim, abuser, savior kind of triangle. Once you go through that, and then you no longer need to seduce, you no longer need to convince anyone of anything, things change completely. And one interesting thing with this experience of the cooperative is that especially three of us, but sometimes the others also, we've been so intensely occupied with the actual physicality of it, of the creation of, you know, all of the handyman, handywoman work of getting a space ready and transformed, and with all of the art in it and all of that. And that requires time and patience and a lot of dedication and a lot of focus. It's like then it becomes hard to sort of get home at 8 or 9 at night and still go onto the computer and go online and post stuff and tell people about it. So we only started like saying, you know, yay, this is happening 13, 14, 15 last week. We started, hey, we have to let people know, you know, there's something happening. And people ask us, and I mean, well, have you made some flyers? Have you put some posters up? Have you? And we're like, no, but you know, I mean, if we're thinking about, you attract whatever you need, people who feel this intense heartbeat, because honestly, this space is way beyond physical, and there's an intense heartbeat going on over there. They will come. Just like 2 days ago, we were talking to each other and saying, oh my God, we could use another pair of hands or two. And this guy just pops up at 8 o'clock in the evening while we were trying to finish off part of the mosaic. We were passing the putty on it, and it takes ages. And so we were, you know, we're not leaving without finishing this, that kind of thing. This has to be finished today. And this guy just pops up, you know, this German guy came up to me today and told me about you guys. How come I didn't know about it? Because he's all into cooperatives and stuff. He was actually wishing for something like this to happen. because he has so much to share in agriculture and all sorts of stuff. And then he says, well, he was there telling us his stories and that. Then he said, well, do you need help? Of course we need help. Okay, so what time do you want me to be here tomorrow? Well, 9 o'clock, 8:30. Okay, 9 o'clock, I'm here. And he stayed until 9 o'clock in the evening and really was so helpful and did so much stuff. And it's been, this is just a small example because it's been like that continuously. Whatever we need is provided. So it's like, we don't need to take loads of time beforehand to pre-plan what is needed next, because when it comes up in our conscious awareness, okay, now this, it may seem like it's really short span, but we just take it forward or ask for it, whatever, and boom, here you are. And honestly, the experience we've had in these, especially in the last 2 weeks, where there seemed like people would go there, just pass by, say, you're opening on the 13th? Yeah. Oh, good luck. Like it was, you know what? It just, it looked impossible. And but we are. And the thing is, really, we had so much support from the other side. And the way it manifests is really unexplainable. It's like one moment you're doing something and it seems like it's going to take ages and that it's really hard. And then the next moment it's done. And really you were doing it, but you don't really know how it happened so fast and in such a perfect way. And so it is a joint project. We are absolutely sure that we've had a lot of help from the other side. Probably some that some people that passed and have been collaborating with us, but also angels, archangels, etc., the masters that were already there, disincarnated, whatever. You know, it's been, whoa, no, wait a minute, how did this happen? You know, every single day we look at each other and say, what happened here right now? Like in 5-10 minutes, there's like a, and we were doing it, but it doesn't seem like it, you know, it's so incredible. So it's really a principle of trust 100% of the time, and know that when you're all in, everything just comes to you.
And it's beautiful because I had to giggle just before when you were saying how, you know, like when it happens, it happens so easily. I was kind of feeling, I'm doing some procrastination, you know, like because there was some parts that I was dealing with that you know, had to do with things like PTSD and all of that. And part of that is that you put off things. And so there were certain things I'm like, okay, procrastination. Then one day happened. I wasn't really worrying about it. I was just noticing, you know. And then one day happened when all of a sudden I just sat down and did something that I was putting off for a week. And I think, well, how did I do it? It wasn't even hard, you know. In the old days, it was really, really hard. And then I sat down and then I sat up, I stood up a couple of hours later and it was done, and it wasn't even hard. So I had a very, very similar experience. And for me also, it has to do all with this being in this trust. And I don't even know like that I even think about it with this trust. It's just so like
it's normal.
A new way of being where I don't have to think about it. I don't have to feel about it. I just kind of notice all of the different parts that sort of come and they go. And for me, it's been like opening up to some new spaces that with this with being in not confidence, even just more of the safe space. I don't know how to explain this, but the more safe space I have, the more safe the more things are just coming up, and I'm going into certain spaces of myself that I've never been, or maybe I was when I was, you know, like a dreamy child or whatever have you. But it has just been beautiful, and I've been able to perceive such fine, even finer parts of myself that also
Mm.
before have been dead, like that I've had to bury them. and
Yeah.
and and it's funny how this kind of spiral just keeps spiraling, for like you think, okay, so I've collected it all, but it kind of isn't. I find that I haven't really ever collected all, and mainly because there are so that we are such gigantic, complex being in simplicity. There are
Mm.
so many parts of ourselves and so many fine parts of ourselves. And so it is only when I open up to another different options and potentials and new choices that then certain parts come. Because before that, it's not that I wasn't feeling whole, it's just that they didn't actually have function in life, in that part of life that I was living then. And so, dealing with all of those kind of it's been really interesting because I've been playing with facets and things, and just noticing how when I take on like a potential, or I take on a belief system, and an idea of who I am and how I feel myself to be and who I feel myself to be, I've really been noticing how this game plays, how the different things work, how all of those ceilings automatically happen. And it's not that I also don't feel myself being timeless and ceilingless, but it's just being a physical. We keep having to do this act of
Yeah,
consciousness, So
totally.
yeah, and so but it's interesting how like now I can be aware of being outside of it and inside, and just to really see it how it works. Like let's say a computer scientist that is working on creating like a game, like a game that people can play. But now I can see from the inside, from the outside, I can open up a computer and look inside how the hardware is working. And it's quite interesting. And I too have had this experience of when you open up to a new potential, or rather choose the new potential. It's been so visceral and real as to how these things actually manifest. It's never been so tangible to actually being able to observe how, when I make choices, when I change my belief systems, when I change my act of consciousness, how then seamlessly things just fall into place, people fall into place, but to fit in with this new idea that of myself. And so one of the things that I've been doing is, of course, playing with music even more than before. So I've been playing my drum, and I don't know if you can see, like my hands are becoming, I'm almost like becoming like some bodybuilder. My hands are becoming so strong. But I'm thinking, I don't care. I don't care if I don't look like lady, like I've got strong hands because I can play drums so well. But I've been noticing the melodies, the rhythm, the flow of the rhythm, and how I can, with my part, because I've got recordings to play along, and how I can fit in my part, and how actually I become that current that is called the rhythm. And then how I can do things like it, like when I was younger, there was this glass ceiling of who I imagined myself to be and what I can do. And there were certain things that were completely outside of me, but it's not because I wasn't physically capable. It's just that it's like it was this void or nothingness somehow there where these things should be. But now, because I'm sort of allowing more grandness and more grandness and different image of myself, of what, as to what I want to be and how I want to feel about myself, then all of a sudden I can just do these incredible rhythms and solos and things that I haven't been able to do before at all. And then this week I had another interesting experience. All of us, like I noticed how when I was talking to people and clients, and kind of a number of people said, oh, I feel like playing a musical instrument I never had, or maybe I've played, but all of a sudden I want to play keyboard or piano or something like that. And I'm like, yes, go for it, do play, because it feels like when you make this choice, that's what I noticed, when you make, especially if you're a little bit, let's say, mature age. If once you really decide to explore life, to choose life, to stay, to do all of these things, then all of a sudden you become interested in things like music, for example, or learning a new instrument, because that is so good for your whole well-being. But it makes your brain plastic and elastic, and all of a sudden it just expands. And it's interesting to actually feel that, how I can all of a sudden notice new things, or see the speed, or perceive the speed, and it slows down. And there's so many interesting things within the music. But anyway, so I've noticed that as people make a choice to stay and to really express themselves, all of a sudden many of them become interested in music. But anyway, that wasn't the thing I wanted to mention. It's like the next day I was talking to this person about keyboard. The next day I realized, wow, I keep advising people to take on the keyboard, and I get excited about them because I want to play piano, and then all of a sudden this reality of playing piano comes into it sucks, it's not sucks, but it kind of, all of a sudden it's like I own it, and all of a sudden I'm a pianist. So of course I still have to train, but all of a sudden the thought comes to my mind, okay, look on the local secondhand thing. When you start, you don't need like a really flashy nothing, and I find one straight away. The first thing, there it is, something that I like. I send a message, and of course I didn't actually get it, but this one was secondhand. It had 3 keys that weren't well, but I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to fix them or something. So that too was my old idea all of a sudden. But what happened, this piano that didn't end up being mine, the keyboard that didn't end up being mine, it was quite flashy and next level, something that I would never, let's say even 10 years ago, consider of myself, that I could actually have this, because coming from sort of like a working class and things like that, you just didn't spend money on these kind of things. So these are were the ideas that I used to carry. But all of a sudden now, with this different kind of image of myself, this was very much a reality. And this piano that I didn't get actually opened my ideas of who I can be. And then the next day I looked up on the web, and now I'm getting a flashy new brand spanking really beautiful piano keyboard to practice on, that has so many cool things. And I'm so like, I get excited still. But it is just like, it was interesting just to observe how I'm able to really step into the bigger places out of the smaller places, how I'm able to sort of go over the ceilings and out of the ceilings, above the ceilings and around the ceilings that used to sort of, let's say, keep me in a certain space. But it is very now observable and very clear, and also very seamless, and without any like hard thing. Like for example, even with this keyboard, the way it happened, let's say, like you mentioned, it doesn't need any huge big deal of it. Like I sort of just looked for keyboards, and then I had a feeling, I picked one, and then I told my friend about it, and then she said, oh, look on the YouTube how it sounds. And how it sounds, I fell in love with it. But I didn't have to do that crazy research and thinking, should I, shouldn't I, is it too much money, is it too little money, how is it all gonna. So all of that kind of human way of doing things is actually out of the window. So I've been really noticing like how, I see something, it just pops up by itself almost, and then I feel about it, and I feel I like it, and it ends up being perfect one for me. And then if I do research on it afterwards, it's like, oh my God, this is a perfect one. I love it. Out of thousands of keyboards, this really I've picked with feeling a perfect one, without having to really think about research. I mean, a little bit, yes, but those kind of, how people go into especially if you're a worrier lot. Oh, should I do this one? Should I do? And there's so much choice. So all of that is just gone. It's just like bang, something happens that shows you, wow, you can expand into this, bang, something else, but of course you have to choose and you have to go with it, and you have to be able to allow this biggerness of space to become you, because it does take courage along the way, because at any point in time, when things are changing within you to accommodate this new way of how you are being, you can choose, or you can stop and not go with it, and then because you have to accommodate and change and make all of those little and big adjustments to actually allow this new life or new image of yourself or new whatever that you want to do become you. So I don't know that it will become clearer, I think, with the time as to how exactly this works. But I don't know, I thought I knew how things work, but now in these times I don't know, it's like a whole new level of being able to perceive this thing. But anyway, so now my next challenge, so to speak, is how do I organize my day to fit in all of these things that I want to do. There are just so many things that I'm so enthusiastic about doing, so I have to really be, okay, so for this time I do this, and then I do this, and I do this, and I keep finding new things I want to do. And that is now fully, I feel that the time has come, being in that cave for quite a few months. But now it feels like to me the time has come to again step out and participate in life fully, like you mentioned, and for you as well, like with what you're opening this huge project. It's going to be such a huge involvement of you yourself and your partners in this. So that's kind of how it feels for me, the energy at the moment, that we really if we want to, we can go and step into this creativity and just playing with life and exploring self in a new way, because it's not just, okay, you learn something new or you practice something, but there are so many different dimensions to everything, and to the selves that you are bringing up. Like, for example, just today, because now I'm fully into this, okay, I'm learning to play the piano thing, all of a sudden this part that is so gentle, so fine, so playful, came forth that I didn't even know I had. But then when it started coming into my consciousness, I realized, wow, I had this when I was really little, but it kind of left. It's sort of almost like it got buried dead. And now, because I'm doing this, it's been able to come through, because it was connected to these to this kind of new way of being, and or this new potential that I'm choosing. So it's the whole thing I find really fascinating, and I don't know, thrilling. I find it so enlivening. I don't know how to express it in any other way. So maybe I will become my own whole orchestra or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there's this kind of thing that you record a piece and then play another instrument, and it all then joins up into a whole thing.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah, but like it's
then
just
we'll
so
see
exciting.
you at Australia's Got Talent. With
knows, but at least I can do the backup music for my videos and reels and things like that. But it's not even just that, it's just I don't know, like it's just something that was so out there, and all of a sudden I own it, I be it. And it was just such a beautiful example of how this works, how these things really work, and how I am creating, and how also there are right times, like when when you flow with yourself and just relax into your own being, all of these kind of things really come at the right time. All of the things come together within yourself and outside of yourself. So you realize that, wow, there was actually no point in even thinking. It becomes, some of the words become really meaningless, like this thing, am I procrastinating or am I not? Because it wasn't really, because the day is filled with all these other things. And then when the time comes for whatever it is that you think you're putting off, it just happens by itself, which is actually very different to what a lot of the, I always look at all of the things that, let's say, psychologists put out. You have so many videos and so many very, very helpful things out there that help you to sort of change the patterns and do these things. But we have now, when you are with your soul, when you are your soul, even those things now are actually not valid anymore. So it's kind of like, it's interesting to sort of see, okay, so I can see your point, but that's actually not valid for me anymore, because my life is creating itself through me, as me, in a very, very different way. So all of those kind of, so many things that I used to find helpful and that others still find helpful is actually very, very moot point. It doesn't, it's not valid anymore, which actually makes it a very interesting dilemma. I don't know whether you've actually thought about it, but if you're doing this kind of, let's say, work where you're, assisting others or helping them transform and stuff, it feels like as if there really are two different ways of actually teaching, almost, like it depends, so much depends on where the person is and how they are creating. That's another interesting thing that I have to kind of, but not have to, but want to kind of ponder as to how to present, material, because like the stuff that we're doing is pretty much very niche, because it's very particular for particular people, but there are not that many people that actually understand, because a lot of the times people sort of comment, in private talks that I have, is like, wow, I didn't actually, when I first heard you and Tanya, let's say, I didn't even know what you were talking about. I couldn't relate. And then until one day, it clicked. And now I understand. It's like, that percentage of the presence of the soul has to be there, or the eyes have to be a little, open to a certain way to be able to actually even understand what we're saying, because otherwise it just makes no sense. But for me, I also do want to reach people that are in different stages, so that's one of my kind of projects as to how to go about doing that, which I find very interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting because like in my work, when it comes to what I call isness mentoring, that is very particular and very very adapted to the people who come. But of course it always takes people very deep, so only those who are really, really willing to go deep. Now my cat came through the veranda and is right up there perched, wanting me to open the door, which I have to go and do because he has no other way out. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Just a moment.
Everyone knows, most of the people that we know, cats, and how
Sorry
when
about
they
that.
they want something. They're famous about their doors, aren't they?
Oh my God.
open the door, and then they just
Yeah,
look out.
exactly. And he was perched on the veranda thing, balustrade. He had no way to go back, so it's like you have to open the door. Anyway, so the personalized work is really very personalized, and it has no rules, no predefined thing. But now with the and being able to do group activities and stuff that I haven't done for ages, and to feel into it and see how it can be done with a vaster majority of people is going to be really interesting. So it's also for me a new exploration in that sense, and really to me it doesn't, I can do that now because it doesn't matter to me whether people are gonna be here or there or whatever they're gonna take from it. It's irrelevant, because each one will take exactly what is perfect for them. And I'm no longer worried in a sense about, you know, whether they're really gonna take the most from it and it's gonna work in their lives or whatever. I don't care anymore. For me, it's just expressing, being together, sharing, and expanding with no agenda at all. And that's a really interesting space to create from. And also within the whole project itself, not only with my own activities, but everything else. Someone was asking, because on the website there are the general guidelines, because I haven't had time to put in specific projects that we already are implementing. But also, we don't want the project to be boxed into this or that, because I believe and know, and even yesterday we had the first presentation session, and the people who came, all of them were just the perfect people for this and that and that and that and that, and no more and no less. And so if we box things in too much or have a very defined idea of which way we want to go, then we are not allowing it full freedom to express in the best possible way. Because if we were to think in November last year, when we came across the idea for the first time, that any of this would ever come to exist, we could never ever have imagined it. So imagination is really limitless when we leave it free and we let it express through us, not because of us. And so in a sense, it's like life is imagining and inventing itself each and every single moment, which has a twist to it. Is it's living out of the comfort zone. There is no comfort zone whatsoever. But I mean, there was never a comfort zone. We had an illusion of comfort zone.
And an illusion that we needed a comfort zone, you know. That's
exactly.
The thing.
Because once you're fully safe within you, I mean, that is it. I mean, there is no such, basically the discovery is in big letters. There is no comfort zone. It simply does not exist. But of course, we've created so many strategies to cope in this challenging reality on Earth. And that has been one of them. And it has been one that we have created with so much affection that it has many layers to it. And we go through many discoveries of, oh, I'm not in my comfort zone anymore, until we realize, oh, wait a minute, what the hell is it? There is no such thing. There is no comfort zone. And in that, the release of the need to be in control in any way is part of realizing there is no comfort zone. And on the other hand, realizing, just like you said, I mean, you don't need to search forever. If there's something that is necessary in your reality, the idea, the image, the suggestion, whatever, it just shows up. You look at it, see, oh, this seems pretty cool. You move on, and you don't waste energy with doubt. And procrastination is totally out, because like now we have so much to do that procrastination is not an option, because
It's
if
not
we
even,
go
it doesn't make any sense even. That's what I realized.
it's not an option.
It doesn't mean
It wastes
anything
energy.
anymore. But
It wastes energy.
yeah. And
Because
it doesn't mean anything.
It stays there in the background, making noise, that thing that wants to be done. It stays there, and it actually wastes energy. And so, and we realize a lot, especially that we are materializing. So we are really master materializers. And we realize that when we get it and do it immediately, like it comes into our consciousness and we do it immediately, gosh, energy just has a speed that is fantastic. It moves much faster, and materialization happens much faster as a consequence, because there is no procrastination, which in a sense is just an attempt to restrain energy from flowing. That is it's just us believing, unconsciously believing, that we are not capable or don't have enough time, or whatever. And then there is the different thing, which is knowing there is something that needs to be done, but it still hasn't really presented itself fully, and that is because it's maturing. And when it's mature, it will be okay, now do it. So that is not procrastination. It is the maturing process between the idea and then the materialization. Sometimes it takes a while in that incubation phase, where it is getting ready to come into the physical reality. And so, but that is clear. The difference between that and procrastination is very, very clear. And also another thing that I find really interesting is, especially because I learn new things every single day, is that when something at first glance seems too complex, I don't entertain myself trying to understand it. I leave it, go and do something else, come back to it when I feel pulled, drawn to it again, and discover, oh, now I understand it. So all of our intelligence, the brain and everything else, does its job without us needing to make a lot of effort around something. If it needs to sink in, it will sink in. It will take its own time. It doesn't need to be something that is going to be strenuous and really, make us go bonkers trying to learn.
I find that too, and it's such a wonderful way to be. Even like if you're renovating something, or I have to fix something, in my place, and I look at it, and it's like, oh my God, how does this work? And sometimes then I buy a thing to replace or whatever, and I have no idea how it works. And then I leave it for a couple of days or even longer, and then all of a sudden I take it on. It's like, wow, it's so easy. But initially it just looked complex. Right. And then when you actually do, when the time comes and I do it, it's just like, wow, that wasn't that hard at all. Yeah, me too. I find that and I find that actually that I was thinking about that the other day, how anything that I wanted to be, if I wanted to be anything, I could be. Because, like, for example, let's say if I wanted to be a prime minister or a president, not that I do, but like whatever I want to be in this state of where I am now, I could be. I would just choose it and then it would just start happening. And that's like quite incredible to
It
realize that,
is.
you know, to realize that anything in the whole world is open, because I know how this whole manifestation works, and I go with it, and all of the things that whatever I choose asks me to do, I do it. I allow, I let go, you know, with people, with other people. It is just incredible. This not it's not even trust, but it's this self-knowingness that you can see through the games, and you can see, and I don't even have to worry like to be, you know, mistrustful anymore, because in the past, for example, let's say, you know, how to protect oneself would be
Mm-hmm.
to be a little bit mistrustful of people, because, you know, like in a 3D, people do have agendas, and people do all sorts of things, you know, there's a whole
Yeah.
range of people and what they do. um and now it's so wonderful to be able to really look at people how they are, not pretend like that new agey thing, you know, how, oh, I just see good in people, you know. And
Uh-huh.
then the second thing, when they say, but they always disappoint me, well, because they forgot to read the book that you wrote as to how they should be, you know. So,
Yeah.
so they just are, but it's such a relief when you actually can look at people the way they really are. And then,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I don't have to anymore worry about the games, or that there are, again, many levels and layers of this, because no one can hurt me anymore anyway, you know, because of the way I am. But also, like, if I look at a different kind of levels and layers, and look at, you know, people doing their gender things and playing games, it's so easy to see through them. So to see through those games, it's almost kind of comical, you know. So there are so many things that one doesn't need to worry or concern, or oh gosh, all of these things have so fallen away, not only because everything works out, you know. Another reason why you don't have to do a lot of research, because the main thing is just to take that step, and that step will always take you to the best place, you know. Once you take the first step in the new project, or whatever you want to do, or whatever you choose, it doesn't matter where you start. So I don't ever worry anymore, oh, is this the right choice, is this the right thing I'm choosing, you know, even if it is the wrong thing, or not the appropriate thing, like that first piano obviously wasn't appropriate, it was for someone else, but it opened, you know, it was all part of this process. Whatever you choose, it's part of this process of this new potential that you've chosen, and it has some function. And that one, for example, it had a function to open me up to see certain things that I had no idea existed, even because I haven't researched or anything. But it was just quick. Okay, this boom, this boom, this boom, this boom, and you just say yes and yes and yes and yes, and it happens. And like you said, no concern, no worry, no stress, no you know, having some heavy research. And it's just this beautiful, joyful expectation, and sinking into this beautiful new feeling of this new idea of who I am now, you know, that also now includes being a pianist, and all of that in a space of a couple of days, you know. And it's just beautiful how that we can allow these ways of being. I don't know how to even say this new potentials to are so for me they are exciting. I still experience excitement, because I do like excitement, but it's not that emotional dysregulation, you know, like it's a different kind of excitement. It's just this like a brook, or a little small river that bubbles, you know, keeps bubbling up with this joyful like a fountain, you know, that keeps bubbling up. That's kind of the excitement that I feel about all of the different things that I'm participating, and all of the different things that are flowing, and all of the different people that I have in my life, and all of the different parts of myself that I'm keep on discovering, you know, the different senses, the different mm, facets of me, the different abilities, the different um uh, different tones and and feelings and emotions and nuances of being, and new different ways of playing and testing, and this all in like what, you know, for the normal human life is for me. I'm in the second part of life, because being over 50, you know, quite a few years now over 50, I would not have thought in 30 years ago that I would just be like a reborn and so excited and so full of life at this stage of life. I'm probably, you know, the fittest I've ever been. I can walk, I can play, I can just do pretty much anything. My brain keeps, you know, expanding in a way to be to allow myself to understand all these new concepts like AI, like all of these things, new programs, new apps, you know, new things. So yeah, I just keep looking forward to what on earth is it going to be in 10 years time. You know,
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think
We
we're ever
are,
going to be really that. I've said no to that kind of old age, you know, that human. It's like no.
yeah, yeah, because we are transhuman in a sense, like
Yes,
they're
yeah.
transforming constantly.
Mm,
And it's about time for us to realize that the transformation never stops.
mm, mm,
Um, it's really a very childish idea that eventually we would reach a stage of whatever. I mean, that you reach a stage and you stay on in that stage, and then and then you're done. um you can, I mean, a person can eventually remove themselves from everything. For that to happen, one would have to really remove oneself from everything and have no interest whatsoever in partaking in any kind of socializing in any way, whatever. um the thing is, that is just one way, and it's possible, but it is also possible to expand another way, or a lot of other ways. And the thing is, there is no, okay, I've reached whatever and now I'm done. It simply is a fairy tale, whatever idea, because being on Earth is a constant discovery challenge, but the challenge doesn't have to be connoted with hard. It doesn't have to be a struggle or an effort or suffering. No, it is a challenge, yes, but challenge does not need to mean those things. And one of the challenges is precisely realizing that you are not the same in two different moments, and the rate of change that happens in us, with us, through us, is so fast that there is no way to live like this and stay attached to personality traits. Because, and that's why part of the journey of coming together within, of being in this inner reunion, is releasing the need to have specific identities or personalities. So releasing personality in a sense, per se, so that there is space and flexibility for new participations, new facets to express and experience so many different new things. So in a sense, we used to have this idea that releasing personality would mean you no longer I don't know, you no longer interact, or you are in a kind of an ashram and never, you know, kind of removed in a way. But
and that you just become this nothingness or something. I don't
right.
know.
And the nothingness is there, and we're touching it all the time, but it doesn't have to be lived as a removing or denial of everyday, tangible, practical, pragmatic life. These things are not dissociated from living fully in reunion and in wholeness. These things can all be part of everyday life. However, the challenge is to not hold on to anything ever. Not hold on to a way of being, to likes and dislikes, to opinions about things, to ideas about ourselves, to about who we are and who we aren't, and what we can and can't do, about what is possible and not possible, and about other people as well, about who they are, how they behave, what to expect from them, etc. Things, events, like for instance, if it's raining, this is the consequence. Well, this giving a silly example, but in the sense that we don't know the consequence of each and every single thing and each and every single person, and even of ourselves, because we are in constant flow. And being in constant flow is not having fixed form or state. And not having a fixed form or state means that we constantly discover something new about ourselves, about life, about how it can be and how it is for us in that moment. So it's, for me, it's an infinite open space that has no ceiling, and that is sometimes challenging because I am in a physical body. It has physical physical space. I mean, it is a space that fits in a certain space, right? But on the other hand, I realize it doesn't confine me. I'm not confined to this. So whenever I feel challenged with, you know, something that seems too complex to whatever, to achieve, to do, to implement, to whatever, I just step out of my idea of what can and can't be done, of what I am or am not capable of what I like and I don't like, and then realize a lot of new things all the time. So it's
and it does
being in form but formless at the same time.
Yeah, and it does require that you know, the person does get in touch with that infinite first, because when you are like what is said, you know, the I am that I am, when you realize, like that part, when you realize, wow, I am actually nothing, you know, and in that nothingness I exist, I am even I don't know, not the grand, I am timeless, I'm everywhere, I'm everything in that nothingness. And then from that nothingness, basically, then all of these different, you know, like either personalities or identities or acts that arise, like, you know, so whatever that it is that I want to experience, then then that kind of being arises. So and even though I know that I'm everything underneath it, and everything and nothing, like within the physical form, it does have a certain sort of texture and a certain, how can I say, shape. Like for example, if you want to play a game of a ball has a certain size and a certain, if you have a tennis, it's a smaller size. If you do basketball, it's a bigger size. So within the physical, there is form, but you still always up feeling that formlessness at the same time. So that's what, when I was talking about, the ceilings and the shapes of things, that's what I meant. Not that there isn't an outside, but it's like how when I choose a certain act, how that forms itself within a certain space. And then while I'm in that act, it's like I can't see almost outside when I'm fully in it, So for example, let's say if I act today that I'm I don't know, that I'm a person who can walk 10 kilometers, the idea that I could walk 20 kilometers is outside of that act. So it almost doesn't occur to me, and it all feels impossible. Not that it feels impossible, but it's just not part of that game.
Right.
And so all
decision.
of us, that's right. Yeah. And so when I then all of a sudden I choose a different potential, a different act, then and I say, well, possible. I'm actually a marathon runner, and that means that yes, I can easily walk 20 kilometers, and all of a sudden, boom, that thing just sucks. It's not a suck in a negative way, but it's just like all of a sudden it's part of me, it's like coming out of that there, as which also is part of me, but it's not in this act. And so that's kind of what I was explaining before, how this form and formlessness is now so tangible and so able to see and observe how we're actually creating, and I find that incredibly fascinating.
I find it too. That's it. That's precisely really great explanation.
Because I think we're finishing now, aren't we? Because you have to go.
Well, but this has been a really, juicy share today, isn't it? Like, it's been longer, but not.
Sure, but I think we can pack a punch, can't we? Like we can, we don't have to go for a long, because 2 hours normally that we go is actually quite a long time for people also to commit. So maybe we can kind of choose to be this new in this new way. New act is like, wow, we're gonna pack a punch in an hour.
Right. I think that will work really well for us and for everyone else as well, because wow, it's been like 2 hours, but not
and the thing is that like with everyone has got so many things on now, because things are really happening now, aren't they? We were in cave, but no longer, like we were somewhere deep for months and months, even though what is the weird thing? It felt like a cave, and it felt like being deep on some deep journey, but at the same time, everything else was happening as well.
It was kind of a preparation, incubation,
but at the same time, everything else was kind of flowing too, like if you look, like you've created this huge project, that you've just opening now. Me too, like I've been doing so, like no day is boring or without doing anything, so okay, sure. So dear Tanya, it feels like 5 minutes, but we have to go, don't we?
Yeah. Well, please go to our websites, alexis.com and inpassioncoaching.com. We have loads of stuff there, loads of things going on and happening all the time. And thank you for your donations. We received some last time, and it was really yummy and joyful. Thank you very much. And see you next month.
See you next month. And yes, stay wonderful, enjoy, explore, enjoy this incredible adventure that we're on.
And thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you. Namaste.
All our love. Hey, Twinkle also says bye-bye.
Bye.